Hello. Hello. Oh, lots of new things I'm learning. I see that I have some people on the chat or on this webinar. I'm interested if you want to introduce yourselves, who you are, if you're not too shy to speak up. I can't see anything about you, so I see a few more coming in. Oh, and one of you just left. So we'll see how this all works out. This is my first webinar, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to do my very best to keep it on track and on focus. So let's see how it all works out. So yeah, just waiting here. Okay, we've got Andrew, independent web and app developer. I actually know Andrew, so I'm glad to see him on board today. Andrew, how much are you able to see about the attendees? Can you see how many attendees there are? Well, he's probably doing what we all do, which is jumping back and forth between lots and lots of different things as we try to take in a webinar and get client work done with the barrage of emails that are coming in all through the day. And that is what we are trying to solve here at Clockk. All right, it's 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock Atlantic. Sorry about Andrew's the only one here, so he didn't receive the email, but we did make a mistake. I made a mistake when I sent out the email inviting everyone for 1 p.m. Eastern. And then I realized as soon as the email was sent, oh, it's actually 1 p.m. Atlantic, which is where I live. It's noon Eastern. And anybody who lives in the Atlantic time zone works with somebody, anyone else knows that 1 hour of difference is incredibly difficult to deal with. 5 hours, that's easy. 1 hour, crazy. Oh, okay. I see that we've got a few more people who have joined us. Please feel free to invite yourself, or not invite yourself, introduce yourself in the chat. We've already had Andrew speak up. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes to see if we can get a couple more people in, but then I will jump into it. So maybe in 1 minute, I'll get started. I should figure out a way to kill the dead time before a webinar starts while we wait for people to pile on. Again, to the other person who just joined, would you, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself? Oh, and we've got somebody else on the meeting. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, but I think I'm going to get started in just a moment. Okay, James, I welcome here. All right. Well, I reckon this would be about the time to get started. Would the two of you like me to go ahead? Because I know both of you and I know you're pretty close by. Should we try this thing out? All right. Well, if you've got some patience, then I'll just kind of do a dry run and see how this actually ends up turning out. And I can keep the video if we like it and not keep it if we don't. But I'm glad you guys are able to help me out and show me how things how you receive things on your end. Okay, so my name is Paul. I'm the founder and CEO of Clockk. I've been working on Clockk for a really long time, and I started Clockk because I was like you, or well, yeah, like you, Andrew, and others who might still join this call. I was running a small consultancy. In fact, I still run that consultancy. It's called Liquid Media, and we do some contract web development. And I was getting frustrated. And this is going back, well, a decade, where I would be working on something and a client would email me and I would reply to that client and then they would email again and there would be a little bug. So I'd jump over and I would be jumping back and forth between two, three, and four, sometimes four clients in a day. And I was just trying to get things done and I was trying to listen and be helpful to and responsive to all of my clients, but that jumping around was really killing me because I noticed that I'd be able to start the clock for one customer, start a timer for one customer, and as I was working, the other email would come in, and I wouldn't remember to switch the timer. And so basically, I realized that once you're at north of two clients in a day, you're probably not tracking your time accurately unless you've got them so time boxed that you're basically working like a machine, the morning for this client, the afternoon for that client. But the reality of being a small shop is that you're constantly getting interactions from your clients and you want to be responsive. So you jump around and you're losing time every time you forget to start your timer, every time you forget to stop your timer. You're losing time, and that means you're losing money. Now, I understand people don't want to track time because it's really hard. So instead of tracking time, they switch to billing by project. And billing by project is a great way because it's great for your client to understand how much the project is going to cost them. And it's easy for you because it's pretty easy to budget. But the problem with that is what happens when your project ends up running late, and so many of them do. Sure, you make money if you finish early, but really, what you want to do is set yourself up so you're billing the right amount of time and delivering the right amount of value. And so, for that reason, I really actually believe in time and materials billing. There's a lot of value to it for you and for your client if you can manage it right. And that's what Clockk is for. Now, for you who bill by the project, Clockk definitely has support for that too. And our support for bill by project is going to be increasing, especially over 2025. But right now, we really have been focused and doubled down on getting the time and material experience right. So Clockk is really special because unlike the competition, and by competition, I'm talking about the AI, the automated time trackers out there, we are hyper focused on the project problem. We want to track the amount of time you spend on a project, not on an app, because who cares how long you use Word when you're really jumping between Word and Excel and your notes and your email, all of these, and Keynote or whatever it is that you're using to deliver work for a client. The reality of your day is you're using a bunch of different apps and a bunch of different documents, all of them to deliver a single project for a client. And then and if you're working on multiple projects for multiple clients, you could be using the same app or the same set of apps, because let's face it, if you're a software developer, you're spending your time in VS Code in your browser like Chrome all day long. If you're a consultant, you're going to be in Google Docs, or you're going to be in Word or Excel for a bunch of different clients all day long. So what use is it to you if an app tells you that you spent 6 hours in Excel? Well, yeah, you spent 6 hours in Excel, but you worked on about 8 different Excel spreadsheets for 4 different clients. This is all important stuff, and this is what Clockk is really geared to work on. So the reason why our competition has an app focus rather than a project focus is because it's really easy to track your apps. It's really hard to track your projects. In fact, it's way harder than I thought it was going to be when I started down this road. So it's been quite a challenge for us. But I think we've built something really special. And a key thing to understanding how Clockk works is trying to picture how your day goes as you're jumping from project to project and from app to app. You're switching really fast. Sometimes you're switching apps several times a minute, and that's really hard to keep up with. And so Clock is trying to build a picture of your day as you're switching between apps. So you might be using app A, and then you switch to app B, and you switch back to A, and you switch back to B. And Clock is building a map, and we're doing what we call stacking time, so we can track how long you spend on in each of these apps, and then you apply those apps to a project, and we track how long that cumulative time is. Not quite cumulative time, but it's like a mesh that fits together for all the different apps and that you use to build a picture of how long you've spent on any given project in a day. So, and in fact, the challenge is right now, like right now, I'm going to be using at least three different apps. Let's see if I actually end up using any more while I'm working on this, but three different apps just to deliver a webinar. And that's with me spending most of my time talking. So that's kind of an introduction to Clock, and I'm going to just quickly pause and see if anybody has any questions. And if you don't have any questions, I'm going to jump in and give you a demo of how I do my timesheets, which is going to be a little bit scary because you never know what you're going to find in a live demo, right down to the things that I did on my computer, because it's all tracked. It's all here for everybody plain to see. So it could get a little bit embarrassing, but hopefully not. So I'm just going to jump in and see if I can find a window. Here we go. So I'm just looking for my Chrome window. There we go. Share. Okay. You should be seeing my Chrome window. If you're not seeing it, let me know and I will fix that. Thanks, Andrew. Clock lets me track how much time I'm wasting Balatro. I don't even know what Balatro is. I'm not a gamer. I kind of wish I were because I'd have something to distract my mind, but yeah, so it is. All right. So this is Monday, January 6th. So I haven't done my timesheets for a few weeks. So this should be interesting. This is what Clock knew about my day because of the assign alwayses that had happened in the past. So it knew already because I'd done some bookkeeping stuff. Anytime I use Scotiabank or TD or QuickBooks, it knows to put the time into my bookkeeping project. And it sees that I've done some customer success work over here. And then I've got a miscellaneous project, which is usually just me sending messages to my wife. So here's one project or a chunk of time, monthly budgeted hours. Now I know I was working on this for a new client of ours who wanted a new feature. So we're developing this feature for them. And I'm going to take this and assign it to our development project. I call it Achieve Plus Plus, but it's actually Clock. So here, and look, it, found other time throughout the day where I also worked on this Google Doc. So there's that big chunk. All right, let's move on here. This looks like a bunch of time that I spent doing bookkeeping. And here is some more Scotiabank stuff. So I'm also going to assign that over to Clock or to my bookkeeping projects. In fact, anytime I work on Scotiabank, I just want to make that website always go. So I'm going to assign that to bookkeeping, hit enter, and that time just grew a little bit more. Mindstream is my email project program. I don't see anything interesting here. Those look like 2FA notifications. Okay, here's a scan result for a site that I work on. So I'm going to assign that. Oh, and look, there's something else as well. So I'm going to go with those and I'll assign that as well. So I'll just do that chunk. I'm going to assign that to TV1 and that time will appear. It just appeared over here. So that's good. I'm starting to accumulate time on that project. Here is another project. This one is called Cloverleaf. So I'm going to assign that to the Cloverleaf project. And I can see that I was doing some work for a certificate of insurance because we moved into a new office. So I'm going to put that in my office management project. And some time is filling out there. This also goes into the Cloverleaf project and more office management for these two. And here is hours per client per month. That is related to the project that I was doing research for, or I was writing the Google Doc for earlier. Gonna assign as well. Sometimes Clockk can be just a little bit slow. There we go. I will assign that as well. Development. Okay, now I've basically made it through the day. There's not much left. What is left is small stuff. Not really important. A lot of email. But the thing about your email, and this is really important to know, is you're jumping back and forth in your email all the time. Most of the time you spend in your email app isn't actually useful. Some of it sometimes is. So here, I just see that. I can do that. And I know the webinar was also something that I was emailing about there. So I can assign those as well. But what will probably happen is, oh, did I just a little bit more time? But the marginal change, the additional time that you do by doing the small stuff probably isn't going to make much money for you. So the more important thing is, have you tracked everything? Have you got everything? Now, here's something. I worked on a Word document at 7 p.m. I don't remember what it is because I didn't save it. It was actually probably something for my son, come to think of it. So I'm just going to ignore that. But what I have here is an hour and 15 on the Achieve project, or on the development project. And I also know, because of the nature of my work, I can see that there's a big empty chunk here. This is an internal project, so I can be a little bit fast and loose with this. But because it's an internal project, I know that I've been, at this time, I was working with my employee. We were discussing what to do. So I'm just going to click and drag that project a little bit bigger. And I know the afternoon was spent with the same thing, so I'm just going to merge those two blocks. And now I'm accounting for a whole lot more time. This gap, did I really miss it, or did I really stop working? Maybe I did, but again, this is an internal project, so it doesn't hurt if I add a little bit of time there. The billable projects, however, do matter. So I've got this little bit here, just a few minutes. It's not worth tracking. Basically 1 minute. I'm not going to build a client for that. I could build a client for that. All I'd have to do is just grab a handle here and make the block a little bit bigger, because I did work, and now Clockk has rounded that up, tracked 13 minutes, rounded it up to 15. But I'm not going to do that because I'm not going to build them for 1 minute work. But you be you, right? Because that minute might have actually been the culmination of work you did before. Again, here, 5 minutes replying. Clockk by default isn't tracking this because of our rounding rules, so I'm not going to worry about that. But you might want to you might want to do something about it. So that's my first day. I was talking a bunch, but really, from when I started till now, that was about 6 or 7 minutes. That's about what I would expect. That's about what you should do. When you do your timesheets, you should be aiming to spend about 5 minutes a day. And look, I did this for January 6th. That's 2 weeks ago that I was able to look in and I was able to finish up my timesheets. I feel pretty good about that. I have a bit of time. Should I do one more day, or let's do one more day and then I'll open for Q&A. So I just clicked over to January 7th. Actually, because this is a bit of a private show, I'm going to do something cool and really amp up the challenge here. I'm going to go to beta, because just this morning we launched a new feature in beta and I haven't even seen it yet. Really? There we go. Okay, let's check out the 7th. Actually, let's go back to the 6th. It's loading it up. There's a new button down here that says lock it in. So I'm going to click that button and I can describe worked on new project description for a new client. Sent a certificate of insurance to my insurer, to my landlord. Scan results. And save and lock. So now my day is locked in. I can't change anything anymore. My day is completely set, and now it'll appear in my reports. And we'll take a look here. So we had, oh, I think this might have been a bit of a work from home day. Certainly the morning doesn't have much in it. This was a, interesting. I think that was from a previous year, actually. Okay, because I did come and work that morning. All right. I think this was a bit of a crazy day coming back after Christmas. So I'm just going to jump down here. That would have been on the Cloverleaf project. And this is all to do with the TV1 project. So I'm just going to assign that. All right, so again, as you can see, this is pretty straightforward stuff. I'm going to lock it in. More on the scan results. Save and lock. And now my timesheets are locked in. That's actually working pretty smoothly. So I'm pretty excited to get that launched for the rest of you. Okay. Yeah, I do send a lot of emails. All right. I'm going to leave that here. Are there any questions in the Q&A? And I'm pretty sure that the people who are on this call can probably just shout out and say what their questions are, because I'll hear them from the other room. Okay. Well, I think I'll end the webinar here then. Thanks for joining. It was nice to see you. It was nice to give this a dry run. I look forward to your thoughts. Bye.